Hey folks, Professor Finn here, and we're going to continue with our study of pathology by going into the next chapter, chapter 17. Before we get into it, let's make sure to like, share, subscribe, share this video with a friend. Don't forget to post something in the comments. Let me know if this was useful, how to improve it going forward. But otherwise, without further ado, let's dive into chapter 17 of Pathology Microbiology for Mortuary Science students by Mullins, Diseases of the Endocrine System. So we will open with diseases of the pancreas. In general, endocrine disorders can be classified as diseases in which hormones are either underproduced or overproduced, or diseases associated with lesions within the endocrine system. First up, we have diabetes mellitus, a metabolic disorder in which the carbohydrates that break down sugars in the digestive system are not digested effectively because of a lack of appropriate insulin production in the pancreatic inlets, or the islets of Langerhans. There are two types of diabetes mellitus, type 1, which is insulin-dependent diabetes, and type 2, non-insulin-dependent diabetes. So signs and symptoms of diabetes mellitus: sweet smell to breath due to acetone in the body, carbuncles of the legs and feet, and ulcers of the feet. Complications of diabetes mellitus can include coma, death, blindness, renal failure, cardiac disorders, elevated blood levels, polyuria, excessive thirst, and increased appetite. Treatments for diabetes mellitus include diet, exercise, and medications. Next up, we have cancer of the pancreas, which begins in the ducts that carry pancreatic juices, and sometimes this is called the silent disease. Signs and symptoms of pancreatic cancer include pain in the upper abdomen or upper back, jaundice, dark urine, weakness, loss of appetite, nausea, vomiting, or weight loss. There is no effective treatment for pancreatic cancer. Diseases of the pituitary gland. First, we have acromegaly, a hyperfunction of the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland after ossification. Causes are overproduction of human growth hormone, or somatotropin, and sometimes caused by a benign tumor, typically an adenoma. Signs and symptoms of acromegaly include chronic elongation and enlargement of bones of the extremities and certain head bones, especially the frontal bones and jaws, abnormal growth of hands and feet, enlargement of the nose and lips, thickening of the soft tissues of the face, protrusion of the brow and lower jaw, increased space between the teeth, sleepiness, moodiness, and thick, coarse, oily skin. Deepening of the voice due to enlarged sinuses and vocal cords, snoring due to upper airway obstruction, excessive sweating and skin odor, impaired vision, abnormalities of the menstrual cycle, breast discharge in women, impotence in men, diabetes mellitus, high blood pressure, and polyps of the colon. Complications of acromegaly: the polyps can lead to cancer. Giantism and dwarfism must happen in childhood before ossification of bones, or it becomes acromegaly. So what are causes of giantism and dwarfism? Well, over or understimulation of the pituitary gland. So with dwarfism, this is a hereditary trait. Can also be related to nutritional deficiencies, renal insufficiency, and diseases of the skeleton. Diabetes insipidus, caused by a disorder between the pituitary gland and the kidneys. Kidneys cannot conserve water due to overproduction of antidiuretic hormone produced by the hypothalamus and stored in the pituitary gland. What are causes of diabetes insipidus? Well, damage to the hypothalamus pituitary gland as a result of surgery, infection, tumors, or head injury. Defects in the kidney: it is a hereditary trait given by the mother. Pathologic conditions such as polycystic kidney, and it can be a side effect of drugs. Signs and symptoms of diabetes insipidus is excessive thirst and excessive urination. Diseases of the thyroid gland: cretinism, myxedema, and hypothyroidism. So first up is cretinism, hypothyroid condition of infants and children in which the thyroid gland does not secrete sufficient quantities of thyroid hormones. It is genetic and also can be brought on by iodine insufficiency. Signs and symptoms of cretinism include arrested physical and mental development, dystrophy of the bones, and lowered basal metabolism. Myxedema is a clinical manifestation of hypothyroidism that includes an infiltration of the skin by a thick gelatinous substance formed from the bonding of water and mucopolysaccharides, which gives the skin a waxy or coarsened appearance. Can be used in regards to children, but usually refers to hypothyroidism in adults. What are causes of myxedema? Iodine insufficiency, surgical removal of the thyroid, and excessive use of thyroid drugs. Signs and symptoms of myxedema can include enlargement of the tongue, coarse and thickened edematous skin, slow speech, puffiness of hands and feet, dryness of the hair, mental apathy, drowsiness, and sensitivity to cold. Treatments for myxedema, as well as cretinism, are treated by thyroid hormone replacement therapy. Graves' disease and hyperthyroidism. Graves' disease is a distinct type of hyperthyroidism caused by an autoimmune attack on the thyroid gland and is the leading cause of hyperthyroidism or overactive thyroid. Affects women more than men around the ages of 25 to 40. Causes of Graves' disease, well, it's an autoimmune disorder which stimulates growth of the thyroid gland. Signs and symptoms include fatigue, weight loss, restlessness, tachycardia, changes in libido, muscle weakness, heat intolerance, and tremors. Enlarged thyroid gland, increased sweating, blurred or double vision, nervousness and irritability, swelling, redness or discomfort of the eyes, hair changes, erratic behavior, increased appetite, decrease in menstrual cycle, increased frequency of stools, and hyperplasia of the eyeballs, also known as exophthalmia. Sometimes this is called exophthalmic goiter due to the protrusion of the eyes and presence of a goiter. So what is a goiter? An excessive growth of the thyroid gland due to a lack of iodine in the diet. Growth must not be due to cancer or inflammation. There are two types of goiter: endemic goiters or colloid goiters, which are due to a lack of iodine in diet in a geographic area where soil has less iodine, common in Central Asia and Central Africa, and it's rare in the U.S. due to iodized table salt, as well as sporadic goiters or non-toxic goiters, which are idiopathic and may result from medications. So again, the biggest cause for goiter is a lack of iodine in the diet. In diseases of the parathyroid, we have hyperparathyroidism and hypoparathyroidism. First up is hyperparathyroidism, which is an overproduction of the parathyroid gland. Signs and symptoms of hyperparathyroidism is weakness, weight loss, fatigue, muscle atrophy, bone pain, gastrointestinal distress, pancreatitis, kidney stones, and presence of adenomas. Next up is hypoparathyroidism, which is an underproduction of the parathyroid hormone. Signs and symptoms of hypoparathyroidism is muscle cramps of the hand and feet, irritability, and depression. You also have Kvastic signs, which is twitching of the muscles of the mouth, nose, or eyelid that is evoked by tapping the facial nerve, and Trousseau signs. A blood pressure cuff is inflated above the individual's systolic pressure for over 2 minutes, causing spasms of the wrist. This is known as tetany and is indicative of decreased levels of calcium in the tissues. Diseases of the adrenal glands. First up is Addison's disease, also known as hypocortisolism or chronic adrenal insufficiency. It is a rare endocrine disorder that occurs when the adrenal glands fail to produce enough of the hormones cortisol or aldosterone. A similar condition may occur if an individual who is taking glucocorticoid hormone suddenly stops. Causes of Addison's disease include autoimmune disorder, in which the adrenal cortex is destroyed by the immune system, tuberculosis, chronic fungal infections, metastasis of cancer, and amyloidosis. Signs and symptoms of Addison's disease include weight loss, muscle weakness, dizziness and fainting due to low blood pressure, a bronze darkening of the skin of persons with light complexions, most visible scars, skin folds, lips, mucous membranes, and pressure points, milky white patches of the skin of persons with dark complexions, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and sudden penetrating pain in the back, abdomen, or legs. Complications, well, high index fluids will darken skin even more. Cushing syndrome is an iatrogenic disorder of the adrenal glands due to chronic glucocorticoid hormone therapy. Idiopathic is one thing, iatrogenic is something else. Iatrogenic has to do with forming as a result of treatment. So Cushing syndrome results from excessive cortisol. What are causes? Long-term glucocorticoid treatment or tumors of the adrenal gland or pituitary gland. Signs and symptoms of Cushing's syndrome involve rounded face due to excessive fat depositions or moon face, obesity in the upper body, mental retardation and obesity in children, purple stretch marks on the skin, translucent thin skin, muscle weakness, easy bruising, high blood pressure, destruction of bone tissue, diabetes mellitus, impaired immune function, excessive facial hair in men and women, balding in women, kidney stones, perforations of the viscera, and fungal infections. Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome is a failure of the adrenal glands to secrete appropriate levels of corticosteroids due to bleeding within the adrenal cortex. This usually affects children. It is characterized by a septic bacterial infection with a rapidly deteriorating progression, leading to cardiovascular collapse and death. Signs and symptoms include congestion of the blood vessels, insufficient levels of platelets disrupting proper clotting, massive hemorrhaging, and pinpoint red rash of skin over the body and bruising. Complications coming from Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome include meningococemia, which may occur during anticoagulant therapy, after surgery, or during pregnancy, which can lead to acute adrenal crisis, resulting in sudden death. So what are some post-mortem conditions involved? Well, edema. With edema, we treat that through either chemical treatment, the use of higher index, or edema co-injection, or if in really radical situations, excision of tissue. Discoloration, which can be exacerbated by the type, of chemicals that you're using. Deformities, which can lead to distribution errors and positioning problems. And circulatory disturbances, which may require multi-point injection. That concludes this lecture, folks. We will see you next video. Again, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Share this with a friend. Let me know in the comments what you think, and we'll see you next lecture.